Hello everyone, welcome to video 5. Today we will be talking about pacing in DV360 Trade Desk General Programmatic Pacing, how pacing works and how to go about it. So let's start with the video. Okay, budget pacing and flight management. What is even pacing, what is accelerated pacing, and how to allocate budget across line items. Okay, first question is what is pacing? So pacing controls how your campaign budget is spent over the flight period, not just how much you spend, but when you spend it. Okay, what is flight period? Flight period is the date range your campaign is scheduled to run. Let's say 1st April to 22nd June. So that becomes a complete flight period. That is start to end date. And then comes the next question, what is daily budget? The daily budget is max amount that the DSP can spend in a single day for a particular line item. Pacing type. Pacing type is the rule that governs how budget is distributed across the flight. It can be evenly distributed, ASAP distributed, or ahead distributed. We'll discuss all that in upcoming slides. Even pacings. First thing first, spread budget evenly across every day of flight. That's what even pacing is all about. So DSP divides total budget by number of days in flight. That's the formula you gotta use. But if you select even pacing, it is automatically applied. Whatever your budget is, let's say it's $2,000 and the flight is spread across 20 days. So how much would be your daily budget? It would be 2,000 divided by 20, which comes out to be $10 each day. Okay. Spend a consistent daily amount. No rush, no waste. If a day underspends, the remainder can roll over to be fortified. Whatever your budget is not spent, it goes over to the next day. Most DSPs, DV360 Trade Desk, use even pacing as default. So when you set up a campaign, it is by default set on even pacing. You can move it to ahead or ASAP pacing depending upon your campaign goals. What is even pacing best for? It is best for those campaigns which are always on brand awareness. It is good for long flights with stable budgets when you want to evenly spread across your budget for each day. It is good for campaigns where consistent reach matters rather than spending the budget in a short span of time. It is good when you want predictable and steady delivery because it's evenly getting paced. So, this is one example. Day 1 campaign spent $1,000, on day 2,000, day 3,000. So, it's evenly spending the entire budget. Let's say the budget is $7,000. So, in 7 days, it spent $1,000 on each day. Even spend, same spend every day. What is accelerated pacing? Accelerated pacing basically means spend as fast as possible. You need to hit impressions early in the flight. It is good for those particular campaigns which are short flight paced. Short, time sensitive campaigns like flash sales, events, a Black Friday sale is coming up, and it's just a 2 to 3 day campaign which you are running. You can opt for a accelerated pacing like ASAP pacing. When you deliver 100% of budget quickly, it is good for those campaigns. Good for competitive auctions where early bids win inventory. Okay, you know there is a competitive product in market and I want to bid more and earlier than my competitors. Then you can opt for ahead pacing or ASAP pacing. It's good for retargeting campaigns with small or finite audiences. So how it is done? Let's say you spent 3,000, more than $3,000 on the first day. Then your budget became on the day 2 around $2,800, and on the day 3 you spent around $1,000. On day 4 you just spent around $100. So it's not evenly done, it's reducing over time because you spend as much budget as possible on day 1 itself. That's why it's accelerated pacing. So DSP spends budget as quickly as inventory is available. As soon as the DSP sees there is some available inventory as per the targeting set, it tries to spend the budget. No daily cap can exhaust full budget in day 1 or 2. So if you want to cap up your budget so that you do not spend the entire budget on day 1 or 2 and you want to spend it across 7 days, then you can put up some cap on the line items. It is useful when inventory is competitive and you want guaranteed delivery. you are 100% sure that I am ready to spend $3,000 in next 5 days, then you can opt for this particular pacing model, which is ahead or ASAP. It has high risk of front loading, little spend left after later days. Okay, so front loading means in the front you load up all the budget. You are trying to spend your budget in the initial days itself. Even versus accelerated, what's the major difference? So spend pattern, if we compare spend pattern, same amount is spent in even pacing, and in accelerated pacing you spend as fast as possible. Budget risk is low in even pacing because it's steady and predictable. Whereas in accelerated pacing, the budget risk is high because it can get exhausted as early as possible. Best flight length is 7 plus days, more than 7 days for even pacing. And for accelerated pacing, short flights like 1 to 5 days. Use case is for branding and always on. This is for even pacing. And for accelerated pacing, events and flash sales like Black Friday sales, which are for short span of time. It's good for those. Reach and frequency, for even pacing, it's balanced throughout flight. Whereas in accelerated pacing, front heavy drops off. When the campaign is just starting up, your reach is high, your frequency is high, you're showing your ads more and more. But later on, as the budget gets reduced, it gets dropped off. Default, so even pacing is available as a default option in DV360, Trade Desk, Amazon DSP, whereas accelerated pacing is an optional or manually you have to override the even pacing to go with ahead or ASAP pacing. Reporting, it is easy to monitor daily delivery when you are downloading the reports. Whereas in accelerated pacing, you have to watch for early budget depletion because your budget can get depleted as soon as possible in the ASAP or ahead pacing. Flight dates and budget planning. So, how flight date settings directly impact your pacing behavior? So, first impact would be on total budget. If you set a total budget at insertion order or line item level in DV360, budgets can be fixed amount or unlimited. Always cap to avoid overspend. So if your budget is 2000, you can cap it at $20 per day for a 10-day flight on line item level. Daily budget cap. It's optional guardrail per day, useful when even pacing still spikes, forces a max daily ceiling regardless of pacing mode. So when you set that cap of $10 per day on a $2000 budget, even if you have opted for ahead pacing or ASAP pacing, still you can reduce down. You put up a guardrail because you are not spending the entire budget on single day itself. So that's the budget, that's the use of budget cap. That's how you plan your campaigns. Flight start and end date. DSP paces based on calendar days remaining, changing end date mid flight, recalculates daily targets. Be careful mid campaign. So when you change the flight dates in between the flight and you are on an automatic bid or budget allocation, then the algorithm automatically decides that now the budget and flight dates have been changed, so I have to recalculate the daily targets required to achieve my goal. So be very cautious of changing the flight dates or budgets in between the flight. Budget carryover. Some DSPs allow unspent daily budget to roll to next day in DV360. This is controlled per IO. Not all platforms support it. So in DV360, that's one benefit. If your daily budget was supposed to spend $20 on day one, but it only spent $18, then the next day, instead of spending $20 on day two, you would be spending $22. The $2 which was unspent on day one would be rolled over on day two. Budget allocation across line items. How to split budget intelligently across your campaign's line items. Fixed allocation. Most commonly used practice. Each ally gets a set budget, predictable and easy to manage, best for testing multiple tactics. And for example, LIA has $5,000, LIB has $3,000, and LIC has $2,000. So you fix up the budgets that I want to spend $5,000 on this particular line item, $3,000 on B, and $2,000 on C. You manually fix up the allocation. Second is performance based. It's an intermediate strategy. It's used to shift budget to best performing LIs. As per the downloaded reports, when you see LIB is performing better, then you move the budgets there. It's based on weekly or bi-weekly reallocations, which you manually do. It's based on the KPIs like CPA, CTR, ROAS goals. So if one of the LI is achieving more goals, you allocate more budget towards that particular line item. It requires monitoring and adjustment, as I just told you. Then comes IO level budget. It's a auto allocation. So when you set a budget at insertion order level, DSP splits across LIs automatically. So there is this option in line items in which you can select either you want to manually input the budget or you want to use the budget at insertion order level. So if you use the budget at insertion order level, the algorithm automatically splits the budget evenly across all the active line items. It's good for testing without manual work. It has less granular control over splits. So because it's automatic allocation, you cannot move up the budget or move down the budget as per performance. So that's one pro and con in this IO level budget allocation. Now, pacing signals to watch. Key metrics that tell you if pacing is healthy or broken. Okay. First is delivery rate. The percentage of daily budget actually spent. If it's below 80%, it's under pacing. If it's above 100%, you have a risk of overspending. So this is the first thing that all analysts or account managers do on daily basis. They check the pacing, and I have already told you in my previous video how to check pacing. So pacing is the amount that you spent yesterday divided by the required amount that you need to spend. Okay? And if it's less than 80%, then you are under pacing. You are not able to deliver the budget that is required to be spent. And if you're pacing more than 100%, then you are over pacing. You might over deliver, which means your budget will be consumed in the days, like in fewer days than the entire flight dates available. Then comes impression pace. Are impressions being served at the right rate for the time of day? Check R by R in DV360 reports. So you can download a day parting report, a time of day report to see what time of day you're getting the best number of impressions, to apply those particular time of days on your line item so that you get best number of impressions within a reserved budget. Early budget depletion. So budgets used up by 2 p.m., pacing is too aggressive, add a daily cap or switch to even pacing. Line item competition. Multiple LIs under one IO can compete for same budget pool. Monitor IO level delivery split. So when you opt in for automatic split, multiple line items are using your budget at insertion order level. So manually keep on checking. If some of the LIs are not able to spend that budget, you need to move it to manual allocation and then allocate your budget accordingly, because maybe your client or advertiser wants certain creatives to be shown more than the others. So you need to do that as per your own media plan and your advertisers needs. CPM fluctuation. Sudden CPM spikes burn budget fast. Pair pacing with CPM bid cap to protect delivery. CPM bid cap means you apply a bid cap that I am ready to pay max $5 CPM. This can be set at LI level, wherein or at IO level also, wherein you say that within my $5,000 budget, I am ready to pay max $5 for a 1,000 impressions. When your CPM spikes, let's say $7 or $8, you apply this cap so that you get a good number of impressions within a reserved budget. So CPM bid cap is a true saver for you. It's a great tool to be used when you are pacing or checking pacing and performance. Then win rate. Win rate is again a great metric to check. So low win rate plus underspend is too low bids. Okay, when your bids are really low, let's say you have set a bid of $1 for something which requires at least $3, so you get a lower win rate and you start to underspend. So even great pacing settings can't help you if you are not winning auctions. To increase your win rate, sometimes you have to adjust the bid accordingly. Keep a check on your win rate and then increase up your bids if your win rate is getting too low. Common pacing problems and their fixes. When your campaign is under pacing, line item spending too slowly, check bid competitiveness, raise your CPM bids or CPC bids, broaden your targeting so that more people can get to see your ads, or check inventory availability report, that how many impressions are actually available for this particular line item. Budget depleted in 2 days, switch to even pacing. Most probably you must be using ASAP or ahead pacing. That's why your budget is getting depleted so fast. Add a daily budget cap that I am ready to pay max $100 per day. Review if bid is too aggressive versus inventory pool. If bid is too aggressive, you have put a really great bid of, let's say, $10, whereas it requires just $2. Reduce it down, check your inventory availability reports, and then make the choice. Uneven spend across line items. Use IO level budget allocation, okay? Because if some line item is spending more than others, if you opt in for the automatic allocation at IO level, it will make sure that all the line items are pacing equally. Or manually redistribute based on weekly pacing reports, or you can download the reports manually to see which line item is pacing behind and then increase up the budgets there. Now, campaign stops delivering mid-flight. Check if budget was exhausted. Review if flight end date passed. Check if line item was paused accidentally. These three are the major points I see a lot of people ask me. Okay, my campaign is not pacing at all. It's a zero spend issue. How to fix this? So these three are the basics you check first. Check if your budget has already gotten exhausted, because probably if you were using ASAP or ahead pacing, your budget could get exhausted. Review if flight end date passed. Okay, maybe you set a flight end date which has already passed, so how will your campaign spend more budget now? Check that. And third, check if line item was accidentally paused. It's completely possible that sometimes you can pause up your line items. Pacing types in DV360 versus trade desk. So there is one pacing type which is not available in DV360, which is behind, but it is available in trade desk. So let's discuss all the available options. In DV360, we have even, ahead, and ASAP pacing. Even, as we discussed, it's called even at IO and line item level. It divides total budget equally across all days in the flight. It is default setting. It's the most predictable setting. In trade desk, it's called even at campaign and ad group level, because in the trade desk, the levels are different than DV360. However, the basic settings are same. The naming and the nomenclature changes a bit. So in even pacing at trade desk, it spreads budget uniformly day by day. Trade desk baseline recommends, it's the recommended starting point. And in both DV360 and trade desk, even pacing is what by default comes in your campaigns when you set a campaign. Ahead is not named mode in DV360. You can simulate it by a setting slightly higher daily cap than the even daily rate to build a buffer early in the flight. I'll tell you ahead how ahead works. If your daily required budget is $100, it will spend $120. Generally, by thumb rule, it spends 20% more than the required spend. That's how ahead pacing works. What it gives you is a buffer time when your flight got late because of creative rejections or whatsoever reasons. Okay, you can choose ahead pacing so that you are able to spend the entire budget. It gives you a push in starting of the campaign. In trade desk, it's a dedicated pacing mode. TTD tries to spend faster than the even rate, same as DV360. It's useful when inventory is competitive and you want a delivery buffer. So similar as DV360 in trade desk also, when you have a buffer time which is less, when you have a small flight, you opt in for ahead pacing. Now behind, this is not natively available in DV360. It can be replicated by lowering the daily cap. Okay, if you want a behind pacing, then you can manually lower down your bids at line item level, because manually you cannot select the option which makes your pacing behind in DB360. It forces the platform to underspend early and leave budget for later days. Okay, you can, by choosing this strategy, you start slowly. You just want to spend $2, whereas your daily required is $10, because you know in later days when more inventory comes, when more people come, then you want to spend 12 or $15 instead of 10. So you opt in for behind, and in order to use behind pacing in DV360, you lower down your bids at line item level, because this option is not natively available to be selected in the pacing option. In trade desk, it is a dedicated mode because it purposely slows down spend early in the flight. It's useful when audiences are larger later in the week. Example, in weekend, it's a 7 day flight, and you want the weekend should have more budget allocated. So this is one method you can opt in for. You can select behind pacing. Initially, it will start slow, and on later days, in the last flight dates, it will spend faster. ASAP pacing is called ASAP because it actually spends your budget as soon as possible. So ASAP can be set at IU and LI level in DV360. It spends as fast as possible, no daily smoothing. Budget can fully deplete in day 1 or 2. It is completely nonsense for most of advertisers. But if your campaign is a very short flight campaign of 1 or 2 days, let's say it's a flash sale, it's a Black Friday sale, it's great option for you. You can spend your entire budget within those 2 days. In trade desk also, it's called ASAP. Same behavior as DV360, spend at maximum rate. It's only used for short flights or guaranteed delivery. Pro tip, TTD has more granular named pacing models. DV360 keeps it a bit simpler, even or ASAP, but you can simulate ahead behind with setting daily caps at LI level. Key takeaways from today's video: what is even pacing? Consistent daily spend. What is accelerated pacing? When you want to spend fast, use for short bursts, time sensitive offers, or guaranteed delivery needs. Third, always set a daily budget cap when using accelerated pacing, otherwise, your budget can get depleted as soon as possible. Fourth, your budget allocation across line items should reflect performance and priority, not just equal splits. Very important point to note. And fifth, monitor pacing daily in first 3 days of flight because that's when delivery patterns get established. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching it till the end. If you like this video and if it gave you some sort of value, please subscribe to my channel and share it with somebody who is into programmatic or planning to move their careers there. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.